Hey guys, it's Strategist. The new Sacred Stones banner has been out for about a day and some change now. And obviously Myrrh is the headliner for that banner. And I think we're actually going to see the meta change in a big way. Not necessarily change majorly, but I think we'll be seeing Dragon Emblem a lot more often in Arena than we already are now, and I'm kind of approaching this potential new meta with a enthusiastic anxiety. Because as I've said in previous streams and videos, that I already struggled the way it is against Dragon Emblem, namely Naui, and the fact that normally, you know, a very strong green unit could essentially defeat a very strong blue one, right? Like my Triangle Adept Soren, and there's been a couple of instances where I can't initiate onto Naui with Soren because she will kill him on counter, even with Triangle Adept 2 equipped. That's about 35% differential. One gets advantage, one gets disadvantage, obviously, and yet she could still do it. So in this video, I'm primarily going to be talking about Dragon Emblem and the potential meta and some ramifications that may come now that we have Myrrh, who is many things, many things in one tiny lolly package. Most notable being her legendary breath, the fact that she is a flying unit, and that she comes with honed dragons. I've definitely said that the game has needed honed dragons because it was woefully absent for nearly a year, and the dragons actually really didn't need it after Weapon Refinery came out. And initially when Weapon Refinery came out and the fact that the breaths got a huge buff kind of told me that they probably would never come out with honed dragons, which would be very odd if they didn't anyway. But what I'm trying to get at here is that the dragons didn't actually need honed dragons. Their weapon refine on all the breaths allow them to counter ranged units stupidly efficiently, especially the good mages. The very good mages are usually the ones that are glass cannons or either have one of their bulk stats, one of their defensive stats significantly lower than the other one, which you couldn't name all of those mages on two hands. There's a lot of them. My Soren being one of them. And oddly enough, having that defense boon has helped Soren significantly, especially into the niches that I've forced him into. But he does perform extremely well at them. Namely, you know, being a Raven Tome unit, countering all of the colorless, you know, the bows, the daggers, and also being able to deal with the dragons. Big thing being because of the breath refine. The fact that Soren isn't always able to actually kill on initiation like he normally would be able to. The simple fact that the dragon can target his defense rather than resistance is pretty crippling in some cases, and will usually take a significant portion of his HP in order for him to do the job he was put there to do. And on top of that, Micaiah, who is extremely recently released, could suddenly become irrelevant for no other reason than the fact that she can't initiate on nearly any dragons, including Tiki, because her defense is so low. She has such a high resistance and effectiveness against cavalry and armor, but she is extremely easily countered by the dragons, despite her resistance. Like, the most she could do is potentially body block the dragons, which I'm not sure if the dragon's breath refine works when they initiate on you. I've never tested that, never really had the opportunity. I don't use any of the dragons aside from Ninian, but she's a dancer and I don't really attack with her anyway. But anyway, it's kind of funny to talk about Dragon Emblem in this new sort of way, because I feel like I'm still speculating, but the possibilities become nearly endless just with the introduction of a single new unit.
Orders, please.
Especially with the fact that they already had a little bit higher BSTs than the average unit in the first place, and also the fact that they are melee ranged units but deal their damage at resistance, which the vast majority of melee units have lower resistance, putting them even further over the top of being competitive. I think with the introduction of Myr, dragons can now actually take their rightful seat on the throne, being the most powerful characters in the game, as, you know, I guess they rightfully should because of the fact that they're dragons. Like, what game out there has dragons in it and they're not one of the most powerful creatures in that game? But don't get me wrong, I said I was going to approach this meta with enthusiastic anxiety. I am both excited and apprehensive of the prospects that we could be seeing in Arena. Both excited and apprehensive for the same reason. The fact that the meta may change. Instead of seeing Reinhardt and Brave Lyn all the time, we may be seeing, you know, Myr, Naui, Tiki, and Ninian. Something along those lines all the time instead. So the prospects of a new meta is somewhat terrifying because you won't know how to deal with it at first, but also a bit refreshing because you're dealing with something else instead of the same old. Chances are I'll be pretty frustrated at first, but I think once I figure out what I need to do and how to execute, I should be able to find my way around the new meta and be able to counter it efficiently and be able to continue bouncing between tier 19 and 20 in an endless loop of cycle of death and rebirth. Stuck in the purgatory I am going to call tier 19.5. If you haven't finished your arena season already, like I have, I highly recommend you do so as soon as possible. Spend some of those dueling crests and get it done so that way you have a couple days of leeway in which to wade yourself into this new meta. Hopefully you liked this video, and let me know what you think in the comments.